I need to tell you something, and I don't want you to just listen with your ears. I need you to feel the weight of this in your marrow. That thing you are exhausting yourself for, the flawless home, the high-status career, the perfect body, the children who look like trophies, the quiet respect of people who don't even know your soul. Whatever it is that you've convinced yourself will finally make your life complete, it isn't going to give you what you think it will. I'm Margaret. I've been on this earth for 77 years, and for 50 of those years, I was a professional ghost. I spent half a century running toward a version of myself that was never, ever meant to exist. 50 years. That is a staggering amount of time to be chasing a shadow. So I'm asking you to sit with me for a few minutes, because what took me 5 decades and a mountain of regret to understand, I'm going to try to hand to you right now. And maybe, just maybe, you won't bleed away your life the way I did. We women, we have this particular sickness. We say, I'll finally be happy when. I'll be happy when I fit into that dress from 10 years ago. I'll be happy when my daughter gets into that Ivy League school. I'll be happy when the mortgage is gone and the kitchen is renovated, and people finally look at me and see success. I said that every single morning of my life. And you know what? I got the promotion. I became the executive. I had the designer bags and the granite countertops. My children are successful. People respect me, or at least they respect the image I've built. But at 77, the scorecard burns up. You realize the finish line was a trick. Every time you get close to it, the world moves it another mile down the road. You think you've finally arrived, and then you look up and realize you're further away from peace than when you started. I spent 50 years sprinting toward a finish line that was never there. Let me tell you why I ran. I grew up in a house where my mother was invisible. She was a provider of comfort, a washer of clothes, a maker of meals, but she had no face of her own. I watched how the world treated her, like she was just a piece of the furniture, a utility. I was 12 years old when I decided that would never be me. I was going to be someone. I was going to be so accomplished, so polished, so indispensable that the world would have to look at me. I was going to earn my right to occupy space. So I worked. Lord, did I work. I was the superwoman they told you to be. I worked 60, 70 hours a week at the firm. I was the first one in and the last one out. I wore the power suits and the sharp heels that made my feet ache, but I felt like armor. I missed the quiet, mundane magic of my children growing up. I missed the way their voices changed. I missed the rainy Tuesday afternoons when they just wanted me to sit on the floor and color. I was building a legacy, I told myself. I was making them proud. By the time I hit 55, I was a senior partner. I had the corner office with the view of the city. People called me ma'am, with a touch of fear in their voices. And I remember sitting in that leather chair, looking at the city lights, and feeling nothing. Not just empty. I felt like a hollow shell that had been painted to look like a person. I had climbed the entire mountain, and when I got to the top, there was nothing there but cold wind and a view of another mountain I was supposed to climb next. It took me another 20 years to understand the sour truth of what I had done. I wasn't chasing a career. I wasn't even chasing money. I was chasing a feeling. I wanted to feel like I was enough. I wanted to feel like I was worthy of love without having to perform for it. I thought if I just achieved enough, if I just made everything look perfect enough, the world would finally give me permission to rest. But you can't get that permission from a title. You can't get it from a luxury car or the way people whisper your name in a boardroom. That feeling of being enough, I could have handed that to myself when I was 22. I didn't need a resume to be worthy of existing. I just needed to decide. I could have chosen to be whole at 25. I didn't truly choose it until I was nearly 75. That is 50 years of my life I traded for something I already owned. The same tragedy happened in my marriage. I thought my job was to provide the perfect life. If the house was beautiful, if the social calendar was full, if I was the perfect hostess, then James and I would be happy. I provided the hell out of that marriage. I curated our lives like a museum exhibit. But you know what James actually wanted? He didn't want the perfect dinner parties. He wanted me. He wanted the woman who used to laugh until her sides ached over nothing. He wanted me to be present, to listen, to just be there. But I wasn't. Even when I was sitting across from him, I was gone. I was calculating the next week's schedule, or worrying about the lawn, or thinking about a client. He told me once, I'll never forget it. We were in our beautiful, expensive kitchen, and he looked at me and said, "Margaret, I don't need the house to be perfect. I need you to look at me. I need you to hear me. I'm living with a ghost." I didn't understand. I got angry. I told him I was doing it all for us. I thought providing for someone was the same as being with them. They aren't the same. They aren't even in the same universe. I'm 77 now. I look at my friends. I see the ones who are still miserable. They are 80 years old and still comparing their jewelry, still mad that their daughter-in-law didn't call on time, still keeping score of who has the bigger house or the more successful grandkids. They are still looking over the fence, still measuring their worth by things that are going to be sold at a yard sale for quarters when they're gone. They are going to be unhappy until the very second they die, because they are still waiting for the world to tell them they're okay. But then I have a friend named Eleanor. She's 81. Eleanor doesn't have much. She lives in a small apartment with too many plants and a cat that only likes her. Her knees are shot and her pension is thin. But Eleanor has a light in her that I would give my entire career to have possessed 40 years ago. She isn't trying to prove anything. She's not keeping score. She wakes up and she's just grateful. She's curious about the birds. She's interested in the book she's reading. She told me, "Margaret, I spent 60 years trying to be a masterpiece for other people to look at. Now I'm just the person looking at the world, and it's so much better." That is real freedom. It's not about the money in the bank. I have friends with millions who are prisoners in their own minds, terrified of losing what they have. Real freedom is when the things that used to crush you, the judgment of others, the fear of not being perfect, the need for approval, just roll off you like rain on a window pane. It's when you can look in the mirror, see the 77-year-old woman with the sagging skin and the tired eyes, and say, "I love you. You've done enough. You are enough." That is an inside job. No husband can do it for you. No child can do it for you. No amount of career success can make you feel safe if you don't feel safe inside your own skin. The fear doesn't leave when your life gets better. The fear leaves when you change. When you decide that you are okay right now, today, even if the house is a mess and the career is stalled and the world isn't applauding. I realized far too late that I didn't actually want the things I spent my life killing myself for. I didn't want the VP title. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to feel like my life had meaning. And I was looking for those feelings in a bank account. I was trying to get them from people's opinions. But those feelings, safety, worthiness, love, they were always available. I didn't need to earn them. I just needed to accept them. Young people think happiness is at the end of the race. I thought that too. But there is no end to the race. You solve one problem and two more take its place. That's the rhythm of life. If you are waiting for everything to be perfect to finally be happy, you are going to be waiting in your casket. It is never going to be perfect. Something is always going to be broken. Something is always going to be missing. The journey is the only thing there is. This moment, right now, as you are listening to this is your life. Not when you lose 10 pounds, not when you get the house, not when you find the right partner. Now. If you can't find a sliver of peace on the way to where you're going, you aren't going to find it when you get there. The arrival doesn't change your soul. It just changes your scenery. So here is what I want to leave you with. Stop waiting. Stop telling yourself you'll be happy when. That is the most expensive lie you will ever tell. I believed it for 50 years, and all it gave me was 50 years of postponed living. Whatever you think you need to be whole, you already have it. You need to decide that you are enough right now, today, with all your flaws and all your unfinished business. You are already enough. Do you hear me? You don't have to prove it to your mother. You don't have to prove it to your boss. You don't have to prove it to the strangers on the internet. You don't have to earn your breath. You just have to accept it. I'm 77. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've chased a lot of ghosts. I've wasted a lot of beautiful years trying to be a version of myself that was acceptable to everyone else. But the one thing I know for sure is this: everything you are looking for is already sitting inside you, waiting for you to stop running. If this touched your heart, share it with a woman who is grinding herself into the dirt, trying to be everything for everyone. And tell me in the comments, what is your "I'll be happy when"? What are you waiting for? What would happen if you just decided right this second that you were already enough? Subscribe if you want to keep having these real conversations. I'm tired now. Go live, please, while you still have the light.